Hello everyone, welcome back to Manga Goblin. I'm Trix of course, and hello if you're just joining me today, or hello if this is your first time visiting the channel. Today, this is sort of a request, but it's also something that I managed to overlook, considering these rules are in White Dwarf and I don't always have access to them, but somebody really kindly pointed me to the number of the White Dwarf. I'm able to get myself a version of it, and we're going to look at the Outlaw Brutes for Necromunda. I want to preface this with a few caveats though. First caveat is, Brutes need to provide something that the existing gang doesn't. Now when you look at these gangs that tend to be outlaws, they are either house gangs that are outlaws, or they're the Corpse Grinder cult, Gene Stealer cult, or Chaos cult gangs. Right, prefacing that, my issue is only with one of them. Gene Stealer cult gangs should have access to a sort of like abomination type monster to fill in their brute type thing. The other ones that are presenting in the White Dwarf are fine for the other outlaw gangs, such as the Corpse Grinders, such as the Chaos ones, such as outlaw house gangs, and such as gangs that either become infiltrated by Gene Stealers or Chaos. So just remember that your house gangs, even if they're outlaws, can get brutes from the house, well, brute thingy. So we're just going to look at these. I will add another caveat as well though. These brutes are slightly better in my opinion than the existing brutes for normal gangs. But remember, as an outlaw, income is very hard to come by, so be careful when you buy a brute. Only get one if your gang is doing really well during the campaign, or if it's a one-off battle and you just want to use a brute for a skirmish type thing. Those are all the caveats done. Let's look at the brutes. First one we're going to look at is the Scrap Code Corrupted Ambot. It's 220 credits. The stats are next to me here. What we're going to just quickly look at is some of the rules and what my thoughts on it are. Right, it's got a weapon skill of 3+, and a ballistic skill of 5+. 3 wounds, initiative 5, attacks 3. It's armed with tunneling claws, 2 tunneling claws. It's equipped with light carapace armor. It can change the tunneling claws to grab fists for 90 credits. It can be given heavy carapace armor for 55 credits, and it can be given armor spikes for 15 credits. It has the Machine's Madness rule, which basically all attacks have the Reckless trait. In addition, after a Scrap Code Corrupted Ambot seriously injures a fighter or sends them out of an action on a d6 on a 1, they gain the Insane condition. They're valuable, so like the existing Ambots, they're valuable. You can sell them, you can rescue it. Now, they have Brawn as a secondary skill, Combat as secondary, and Ferocity as primary. My opinions on the Scrap Coded Ambot are, he's much better than his non-insane counterpart. The Tunneling Claws are a really nice weapon, and the grab fists are decent on the original. Saying that, the normal one does have the tunneling claws as well. The regular Ambot does have them, and it can upgrade to the same weapon. But I prefer the scrap coded one, because simply put, the reckless trait can be quite a good blessing. The injuries that he inflicts on people is much better. You can give him better armor. You can give him armored spikes. You can give him a lot more upgrades than the regular one, and it just makes him, or the Scrap Coded Ambot, much better choice for an outlaw gang. He's much more expensive though, so do be prepared to pay out for him in his full form. But once you kit him out, he's an amazing killing machine basically. But again, remember my caveats. Only get him if you're playing one-off battles, or if your outlaw gang is doing really well. I will add one thing though, the regular Ambot is pretty decent for certain gangs. Orlocks, Goliath, It does pair up nicely with those two gangs. If you're an outlaw gang though, get the scrap code one. Get the scrap code one. Moving on. Mutated Ogre. Right. The model that they've presented for the Mutated Ogre is a Blackstone Fortress thing, which is no longer available, which is a bit of a whole different kettle of fish. Right, it's only with... Right. You can see your stats here. Weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 5+, strength 5, toughness 5. Similar stats to existing Ogre. 210 credits. Pretty expensive. 2 open fists, as these weapons, can have a power maul, which is a pretty decent weapon, for 30 credits. You can have horrific appendages for 20 credits, pretty decent, and furnace plates for 15 credits, pretty decent. But remember, you are paying a premium for this Mutated Ogre and his abilities. Murderous Brute is, in addition to the True Grit skill, when recruited, a Mutated Ogre may be given a random skill determined from either the Ferocity or the Savagery skill sets. It doesn't cost any XP and it's extra. That's pretty decent actually. Slow-witted. It can never be activated as part of a group. Its other skills are Brawn Primary, Combat Secondary, Ferocity Secondary, no others. But so my advice would be to take something from the Savagery one, because you can't normally generate a skill from that. Horrific appendages are pretty decent weapons, to be honest, if we look at them. Horrific appendage is melee, pulverized, and rending, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, so it's pretty good. I quite like that actually. Going back to the scrap bot, the armor spikes basically, you have a chance at inflicting a strength 1, AP 0, damage 1 hit before any other attacks. So basically, when you charge him or when he charges you, it has a chance of spiking you. Pretty decent. It's a free attack, so only 15 credits. Seriously consider it if you're taking the Ambot. That's just my opinion. I just wanted to come back to that for a second. Saying that, Mutated Ogre is probably very decent for your Corpse Grinders or your Chaos Cult Swan. Not so much your Gene Stealer Cultists though. I really wish that there was some sort of mutated Gene Stealer Cult Ogre or something. Maybe we'll get some in the new upcoming book, but it needs to be said that they need something like a brute type character for Necromunda, so maybe we'll see something in the future. Moving on, right, you can only ever have 0 to 1 of the Outlaw Brutes. Right, Warp Horror. The Warp Horror is 210 credits. It's armed with 2 horrific appendages, so unlike the Ogre, which can only have 1, this beauty can have 2 at the start. It can have massive tentacles for 50 credits, it can have warp fire breath for 90 credits, and it can have undulating skin for 40 credits. It's terrifying and basically has the similar rules to the masks of the Corpse Grinder cult. Basically, if a fighter wants to make a fight or a shoot basic action that targets this monster, it must make a willpower check. If they fail, they can't take it and their action ends immediately. Warp Desonon. End of each round, roll 2d6. The result is equal or lower than the game round. It suffers a flesh wound. So basically it's a creature of warp energy, and basically this is it representing it waning in the Materium. Undulating Skin. With this upgrade, reduces all damage it suffers by 1 to a minimum of 1. Seriously consider that for your Warp Horror if you're getting him. Now, that with the Warp Fire Breath is pretty much needed. I mean, if you're a skirmish, but if you're going to take a brute, go all out on your brute. take everything you can from him, especially if you're an outlaw. Use him as something that will either soak up all the damage, be a threat to your enemies, and just be careful with him. You can screen him with cheap fighters if you have it, but remember, be careful with your credits. But if you're going to pay out for one, pay out for a good one. Now, he has access to the Brawn Secondary, Combat Secondary, Ferocity Primary. It doesn't say that it starts with any... Oh, it does. It has Nerves of Steel as a basic skill. So yeah, it comes with Nerves of Steel. Pretty decent. Again, if you are going to get one, they're using another model pictured here, which is hard to get now. Vulgar Thrice Cursed, which is rather interesting looking model. He's really cool looking, but he's hard to get because he's part of a box set that I believe is no longer available. Okay, so the last one we have here is the Sump Beast. But before we come to him, let's just quickly look at the Warp Fire Breath. It's Strength 3, AP -1, Damage 1, Ammo Roll 4+, Blaze and Template. Okay, it's okay. Not too terrible, but having a ranged attack, especially if you are running him with your Corpse Grinder cults, you might as well go all out, take the Flamer. Right, Sump Beast, 0 to 1, 200 credits. We've got 3 profiles for the Sump Beast, representing the various monsters that you might find in the Underhive. It's up to you which one you take though. All of them have 2 attacks. One has toughness 6 but is very much slower. All have 4 wounds. 2 have initiative 4+, 1 has initiative 5+. 1 has weapon skill of 3+, but basically they're all much of a muchness. Just think which one you want. In my opinion, I would go for the one with higher toughness, simply because they'll be harder to hit. Yes, they're slower to move, but having increased toughness really will help you out. Now you have Ferocious Jaws as standard, which is a strength of the creature, AP -1, damage 1. It can have Lashing Tail for 50 credits, which gives it a 6-inch attack ranged. Strength, its creature strength, -1 at AP, 1 damage. Impale melee versatile. Crushing Claws, 70 credits. Crushing Claws are strength +3, and that's pretty decent. Do think if you want to give him that. AP -1, damage 2, 2 damage. It's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. Knockback and melee, you get knockback, which is useful, especially if you're going to go for the slow one. Prehensile Tongue gives it a 2-inch ranged attack, strength user, damage 1, drag, melee versatile. It's like a mini harpoon gun. Personally, no, not worth taking. Venomous Bite. Venomous Bite is basically giving it poison with toxin trait. Multiple legs, 20 credits. That does increase its movement by 2 inches and gains the clamber skill. So you could take the 3-inch one, buy it multiple legs, that bumps it up to 5. That makes it a much faster, scarier monster. Scaly Hide is 40 credits, 4+ save. Seriously consider that. Again, when you're going for the Outlaw Brutes, take as many options as you can. Remember that you are going to be hindered by credit generation, and you are going to be, I wouldn't say weaker exactly, but you are going to be playing with much harder rules, especially on the trading charts, especially on those kind of things. You do get access to some decent Outlaw hard guns, which I've covered before, but I think that these are pretty decent for what they are. That most of them have melee. The only decent ranged, I mean over 10 inches range thing, is either the Flamer template or the Grab Fist ranged attack. The Tunneling Claw, while it does have Melter, it is between 4 and 8 inches, so Grab Fists are better. Again, if you're going to get one, go all out on your Outlaw Brutes. That's just my personal opinion on the Outlaw Brutes. They are significantly better, in my opinion, than the regular Brutes, especially the House Brutes. House Brutes are very situational, but they do fit in more with the House gangs. However, if you're running an Outlaw gang, you probably are going to... well, you're probably going to have some minuses. And it's nice to have some pluses, especially with this, and especially with the Outlaw trading especially with the Outlaw trading table, as you know, with those really weird ammo types you can get as well, which I'll cover in a later video. So that's it. That's my thoughts on the Outlaw Brutes. In my personal opinion, they're pretty decent. The best one, in my opinion, would have to probably be either the Mutated Ogre, or the Sump Beast, simply for what you can give them. The scrap code Corrupted Ambot is pretty decent, but he's a bit, you know, you are seriously consider your credits for them. But if you're going to get one, go all out. They're all pretty decent options. The Warp Horror, in my opinion, is probably only decent for that Flamer template, and the Undulating Skin, which can minimise his wounds. So, again, those are my just personal opinions on the Outlaw Brutes, which appeared in Necromunda. If anyone else has any White Dwarf rules for Necromunda, please send them my way, or please tell me which White Dwarf they're in and what you'd like me to cover about them. That's it, everybody. The next Necromunda video is, I don't know, I'll go and have a look at the Corpse Grinder cults, or the Outlaw, well, the Outlaw book, basically, the Book of Ruin, we'll look at, which is one of my favourite books, because it gives you a lot of fun things to use. So that's it. Do take care, everyone. Have a nice time, and bye-bye.